afternoon. I'm Carolina Cortes, and today I'm going to explain an amazing book for children. The name is The Jungle Book, and the author is the Rudyard Kipling. So, the first point is about introduction and analysis. First of all, my presentation is about the book The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling, and I'm going to discuss some points. First point is about the concept framework, the second one is semantic framework, the third one is a linguistic framework, and the last one is a conclusion. And also, I'm going to analyze the further discussion. So, the first point is about contextual framework. It's a presentation of the author. So, the author, he born in 30 December in 1865, and he died in 18 January in 1936. He was an English short story writer, poet, and a novelist. He wrote tales and poems of British soldiers in India and a story for children. He was born in Bombay, and in the Bombay president of British India, and he was taken by his family to England when he was 5 years old. Kipling's works of fiction include The Jungle Book. He is a regarded and major innovator in the art of the short story. His children's books are enduring classics of children's literature, and one of the critics described his work as exhibition and versatility and luminous narrative gift. Kipling was one of the most popular writers in England, in both prose and verse. And in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, he was awarded of the Nobel Prize in Literature, making him the first English language writer to receive the prize, and is the youngest received to the date. Among of the other honors, he was sounded out for the British Poet Laureate and won the several occasions for the literature novels. Literary movement, English realism, the Victorian era, 1837-1901. Realism is the literary movement that started in France in the 1850s as the reaction against Romanticism, and which tried to show life as it was in literature all over Europe. Also, the concept is also questioned by some critics. It is useful terms to understand the general spirit of the second half of the 19th century as a reaction of Romanticism, as a stress of the reason and positives and the faith in the power of the artist to show reality. In England, this movement coincided approximately with the Victorian era, a period ruled by Queen Victoria in 1837 and 1901, which meant the height of the British Empire and the Industrial Revolution. Many critics prefer to talk about the Victorian age, since many of the best English novelists of the period are not realistic, in the same sense as their French or Russian counterparts, but whether more of the less realistic novels are certainly the most important literature of both of the period. Excellent novel, written by the expanding educated middle class that has developed with economic probability. Example, Walter Scott in 1771 and 1852. Also, we have Jane Austen in 1775 and 1877. Charles Dickens in 1812 and 1872. Also, we have William and Master in 1811 and 1863. And some Victorian points worth mentioning are, we have also Robert and Elizabeth Browning, husband and wife, Gerald Manley and Hopkins in 1804, and also we have Rudyard Kipling is the our author in 1865 and 1937. Literary genres, adventures. Kipling enjoyed himself some adventure story. He stayed off the center of ancient Orient, travels going to the foreign lands and risking all for the thrill and reward of dangerous circumstances. And Ricky Tickins got all the adventures of the Indiana Jones flicks, just on a smaller, more domestic scale. The garden might not sound like an understanding wilderness from the human perspective, but when you jerks your view down not to the mongoose size, suddenly the very same garden changed into the jungle. The mudament backyard becomes a land fraught with the dangers such as a poisonous snake and the summer storm that up like a flows. And our protagonist, Mogus, must break them all if he is to keep the British family safe and win the prize of comfortable life. Let the adventure begins. And we also have to mention another possible allusion under this category. Looking at the bones of the story, we have got an intrepid hero who killed a scary male monster and followed a second scary family. monster back to the herd, later to kill her. Some to us to look like a beautiful, the prototypical English adventure story if there ever was one. Social context. The author writes in the third person from the point of view of the central characters. The characters are generally anthropomorphic animals except one or two where the human perspective are used. The characters are clearly outlined and hence almost two-dimensional in nature. This is perhaps necessary because this work was intended for the younger audiences united to the grappling with the shaded nuances or complex, fleshed-out characters. Moral tone of honesty, determination, and rudeness, and the prevailing values of the honest Britons, as it was a part of the propaganda of the time, are strongly prevalent. On the one hand, the Jungle Book tales are innocent, lively stories filled with talking animals and bird dangers and moral conundrums. Their esotericism doesn't necessarily impart any political message. The name of the characters and the jungle setting evoke the mystery and magic of India, without implying moral inferiority of Indian cultures. On the other hand, Kipling's story epitomizes the underlying themes and assumptions of the new imperialists, by portraying the dark-skinned people like Mowgli as being raised by wolves in the jungle and communing with beasts. With this, Kipling suggests that Indians are primitive, savage, and animalistic, and therefore subhumans. The jungle culture is better against the modern Europe industrialized city. The juxtaposition of the civilization as severity is at the heart of the Jungle Book and one of these core themes. The Jungle Books can be regarded as classic story told by an adult to children, but they also constitute a complex literary work of art in which the whole of Kipling's philosophy of life is expressed in miniature. They are the best known for the Mowgli's story, the tale of a baby abandoned and brought up by wolves, educated in the ways and secrets of the jungle by Kaa, the Piton valued the bear, and the Burger the Black Panthers. The story is a mixture of fantasy, myth, and magic, and underpinned by Kipling's abiding preoccupation with the theme of the self-discovery and the nature of the love. Other opinions about the reading. We have a person, so the first one is George Mahmood. In Rudyard Kipling, Crashman wrote, he said, love of animals, imagination about animals, the placing of the anthropomorphic words in their mouths is the prevailing wit of the English and the Jungle Books. For that reason have brought joy and enthusiasm to many hearts. The second one is Brabson. In his introduction of the author's world classic edition of the Jungle Books, right in 1987. The thoughtful reader of the story is reminded from the time to time that not all the laws are natural laws, the eternal law ordained by God. Now we have the time. Isipo inspired Kipling for write this book. So you remember who is Isipo, no? He is a great sheikh who is credited with creating a whole bunch of fables, a story that usually contain animal characters and portray particular lesson or moral teaching, where Kipling took a page out of the Aesop playbook when write Rikki Tikki Tavi because the tone is totally fabulous and moralist. So check out the moralist tone in this fragment take off from the book The Jungle Book. That night at dinner, walking to the front among the witness glasses on the table, Rikki Tikki could have stuffed himself 3 times over with 9 things, but he remembered Nag and Nagaina. This before taken from the page 38. In this book, you can find 7 figures of speech. So the first one is an onomatopoeia because the sentence starts with the mouth of the cave where they all live. Owl says Father Wolf. It's an onomatopoeia because the owl is imitate the real sounds of the animals. So you can find this sentence in the line 7 of the book. The second one is a simile. So you can find this in the line 157. So the mother wolf shook herself clear of the up and sprang forward her eyes, like 2 green moons in the darkness. It's a simile because the author is comparing eyes with moons to describe a mother of wolf. The third one is Hidulis. This can you find in the line 47. So the sentence starts with, he has no right in the father wolf, began angrily, because the author used 2 nouns to express an idea about the wolf behaviors. The first one is onomatopoeia. You can find this in the line 39. So the sentence starts with, please him to see mother and father wolf. These are onomatopoeias because the mother and father have the same ending. So the 5 one is archaism. This is a line you can find in the line 18. So this sentence starts with, "Fault are there not enough settled and the fraud in the tanks that he mustn't
he must be like a fault, because the author changed the word fault for fault. So the last one is the sensory detail. You can find this sentence in the line 32. The sentence starts with, "Oh, thank you for the good meal," he said, licking his lips. So this is sensory details because he described how behavior and sound, and also what he's doing with his lips. And the last one is a superlative. You can find this in the line 21. So the sentences start with like this. For Mendes, the most disgraceful thing that you can ever have and they will create it. Also, in this book you can find alliteration. You are going to find in this book because the author used this to make more realistic the description of animals. You can find this example in the page 5, line 95.
British writers continue to have a great influence in America. The major British writer who traveled and lived in the United States was Rudyard Kipling, and until the 1970s dominated the literary curriculums. These achievements were all include the new 118-page Home Office syllabus, which asks a potential citizen to learn about Britain's history, culture, and the values. Finally, conclusion. Mowgli's stories were funny and kind of sad at the same time. His adventures with Baloo and Bagheera were hilarious, but there was always an undercurrent of something wrong beneath the surface. When Mowgli finally has to live in actual human villages, we see the all too human struggle to fit in, to belong somewhere.